And tonight I'm joined by Circus 66. How are you guys doing? You all right?
Yeah. Thank you for having us, man.
No, anytime. So how you been keeping during this last sort of 12 months? Obviously, you've been busy with the album.
What last 12 months? 2020 didn't happen.
That's true. It didn't happen. Didn't happen.
Cardinal rule, 2020 did not happen. We don't know.
No, we were lucky, like we were just talking about. We finished recording all the album. It's just in the final stages of being mixed now. So we've put the downtime to good use, put it that way. And we've actually started demoing up the next album. It's like, why the hell not? It's like, why the hell not? I've got me and Luke have been putting ideas back and forth for the past couple of months. We've got about 5 rough ideas for songs for the next album already. So we might as well get a head start.
No, fair play. You've got, like you say, if you've got the songs you've been writing, you've got the songs there to lay them down and at least demo up. Why not?
Yeah.
Otherwise you lose them. I know it's like you can write something. If you don't demo it up, I've always certainly lost it anyway. Or can't remember the thing I played on my bass anyway, but never mind.
Yeah, I can't remember what I was in yesterday, so
I can never remember what I play on the bass. It's like I recorded that. What did I do? And I have to go and work it out again.
Yeah, I've had countless recording sessions like that and come back to it, and it's been, I did what now? No. You sure?
Yeah. What was that note I played right there? Let me just go over it.
Yeah.
I can't remember what I did.
I don't think that note is on my bass guitar. I'll have to go get another one,
Always an excuse to get another guitar.
Oh yeah, there's always a reason. It's not an excuse, it's a reason.
I'm sorry, I just literally insulted three guitarists.
Yeah, I think it's more of a condition myself.
That's the better word. I like that. Definitely.
I think the vernacular of this band, right, is the whole of lockdown. We've bought guitars. Like both Matt and I have had custom jobbies built. That just Matt seems to have this never-ending collection of what is it, like 30 odd guitars or something like that.
22.
I know because we go over the names and stuff. He's like, he tests me randomly, like, do you remember how many I've got? Do you know what they're called? Give me a moment. Wait, let me go. Notes.
If ever we get that to the stage of needing a tour bus, we'll need 2 tour buses, one for Matt's gear and one for the rest of us.
One for the rest of you.
So yeah, but it's been productive. We've spent a lot of time refining and crafting and finishing off the album, which for us we're really excited about, and we think people are going to love it. We hope we hope that people feel the same, and really, because we've had no shows and we've had nothing better to do really as a group, and we haven't really been able to get together that much. We've been doing a lot of kind of bouncing ideas around between us and, writing stuff that may or may not end up on whatever we do after the album comes out.
That's cool. It's good that you guys, always looking forward. And like I say, you've been recording the album. Lee, as you guys know, sent me across the new single, Jekyll or Hyde. When did you send that through? Tuesday, I think. Today's Tuesday, isn't it? I've lost track of days. Some point over the last few days, you sent it over to me anyway. Another beauty of a single from you guys, along with obviously Monsters and 1,000 Miles. I can't wait for the rest of the album. Is there a particular song or story behind the actual song itself?
Well, for Jekyll?
For Jekyll, yeah.
I think it's one of those songs that you can interpret it in different ways, obviously, as you do with any decent song. Yeah. But because when I started writing the lyrics for that, it's basically about split personality, about being around someone you never know what kind of mood they're going to be in, or that could, are you going to rip my head off today, or are you going to be nice to me today? So that's where it basically came on. It's nothing to do with you, Jenks, at all.
I actually can tell you one thing. I did ask Matt at some point. I was like, was this shit written about me? He's like, no, not that important, hun. But I did have to ask. I mean, I have my moments.
Well, you are the singer.
Yeah. Every singer has their moments.
I'm not going to lie to you. You got to live up to some sort of expectation here.
It's very true. Very true.
Yeah, she's only just recently started helping us in with all the gear and the gigs.
Well, that's one step up.
Yeah.
I've been trained. I've been trained to make cup of tea and everything.
Oh, there you go. You started on your keep.
Yeah, like again, back to that question. That's basically what the lyrics about. The music I had floating around for a little bit in sections before Luke and Lee joined the band. I already had the main riff. Just couldn't figure out the rest of the song. Wasn't really happening. And then I showed it to these guys at one session. I think it only took us 3 sessions to finish it off. Maybe
That's impressive.
It came together fairly quickly. This song, because all I really wanted to keep was the main fast riff you heard at the start.
Yeah.
And then the rest of it sort of, came together over a couple of weeks. Didn't take long because I already had half the lyrics written, and I sort of mashed it all together. So, oh, great, this works. Let's finish it off.
That's cool.
And I didn't think this song would be a single when I was recording it, but you never know. As you know, it's like you just don't know which song is going to go. Actually, this is quite catchy.
It's not normally until you finish the album, listen to it back, and then you think, okay, well, that is.
Yeah.
And sometimes it's not the song, for want of a better term, that is the most traditionally sort of single shaped as such.
Yeah.
They're the ones that you end up they just stand out. And you know what, you guys have been doing this long enough now. You know what to put out and what not to, and what to put and what not to.
Good story about another song on the album. There's one song called "Light the Fuse," and I made a schoolboy error of when I started writing the music for that. Go right, I'm going to aim for this to be a single. That was the first mistake, because I think that's the one we actually ended up re-recording it. I think 3 times. Because we made it so simple in the first one. I go, oh, that's fine. It's like, and then going back to it's like, actually, this is a bit shit, compared to our usual style. And we all agreed. So, right, we re-recorded it again and again. Now it's actually probably one of my favorites on the album.
It's to the standard that it should have been in the first place, really.
Yeah. I think we've learned that, there's been an evolution from Lee and I joining the band at the kind of middle of 2019 or back end of 2018, I think it was 2018, 2019.
It's your 2-year anniversary today, mate.
Yeah, how could you not remember?
Well, it was. I think it was just 2 years from when you announced it, but we were hanging out before that, just trying to work each other out, right? But
that was at the beginning of January.
Yeah, I think we've figured out the chemistry between all of us in the band now, and coming into this, it started off very much as what I think is fair to say what Lee and I were doing was just largely fitting in with what Matt and Chenks had already written, what Matt and Annabelle had already written, and it's evolved. So as we started writing this album, things started to come together really quickly. We spent quite a lot of time. I think the first song we all actually wrote together from scratch was, and it started with an idea. I think it was Monster, yeah. Thousand Miles from Home. So our first single.
Love that song.
Our first single, Matt pretty much had the structure. These guys already had the structure and the song written, and it just needed some drums and bass to give it some balls, and that's what we did. We sat back, we locked in, and gave it some balls and some groove. And then Monster, Monster from a standing start was really the first song where the brief was Matt. I think you pretty much said it's got to be funky, it's got to have a groove, and it's going to start with some bass. And it was like, okay, and it's in C. I was like, okay, cool. So that was the first song that we wrote from the ground up, and that started to show that the chemistry was there, and the crux of the band and the creativeness, it all just came out into this mix of what you're hearing with Monster and what you hear with Jekyll or Hyde is the mix of the whole band. That's all of us kind of represented in song. And actually, once we'd gone and finished Monster, a lot of the other songs on the album, like Matt said, with Light the Fuse, we started with something with kind of we're going to do that with it. And then it completely changed into something else because we realized that our sound was changing and it was coming together and shifting in a very organic way.
Yeah.
And that hopefully comes across on the album. And that's why, we're kind of really excited for it.
You think now because you guys are sort of, a year and a bit down the line of being like the four of you guys at the minute, that you've, like you say, you managed to boil down what it is, Circus 66 with you guys in the lineup, and now it's sort of, like you say, rather than filling in the parts, now you're, those key components are properly gelled as such.
Yeah, exactly. And I think it shows in the way that it's been songs like Jekyll or Hyde, the new single, came together quite quickly. It was a couple of weeks, and actually some of the other songs came together really quickly, where on face value you listen to it and you think, how the hell did we come up with that so quickly? It was just because we let it organically happen. And there's never been any lack of creativity in this band.
I think part of it is the evolution of it all, because once we got together and just started to listen to each other, everyone's working at the same pace. It's not, one or two of us pulling, the rest of the band. It's all of us interpreting ideas and stuff. And I think that's one of the reasons why it came together so organically, as Mustard said, because at the end of the day, we all had a 2 cents to put into the idea, and it shaped itself without any force at the end of the day. So that's what made it fun as well. And we sort of took it as the wave came.
I think there was one track or one riff on the album where weren't you walking through home base or B&Q, Matt, and you heard a jingle?
Well, right. So actually, this is to do with Jekyll or Hyde. So I was just in home base grabbing some usual garden crap, as you do, life of a normal rock star. And this jingle, vocal melody came over just, the tannoy, whatever you want to call it. And it had this really cool, odd melody to it. And so I quickly got my phone out and just hummed it, recorded it. And that is what started the chorus melody for Jekyll off.
I love that.
And it didn't really...
Freaking home base.
You can't really, that's where it started from. It changed from there. There's little elements of that, but that was the fundamental idea. So there's me with, garden sacks in my hand, phone in the other, coming into this phone. And that's where it came from, the chorus melody for the vocals.
Well,
every song has a great story.
Saxon can write songs where they got rhythms from the machines and the factories they were working. Why can't you use home base?
Exactly.
Okay.
Yeah, I think we've had loads of good ideas like that. My phone is full of recordings of me humming. Some of them are absolute crap. You come back to it and go, actually, that's cool. Get that back, and then I turn it into a riff or make it into, say, can you play this on the bass or a drum pattern? Wherever you get the inspiration, you've got to record it, man. I've lost.
If you ever lose your phone
ideas.
And someone finds it, they're going to be like, what a weirdo.
Oh, yeah.
He's just
going to be like
his phone.
It's this. I think we all do it. We all kind of, that's cool. And then you just kind of tap it out or hear or hum it into your phone or kind of sing it into your phone. It'll probably sound very, very strange if we ever lost our phones, as Annabelle said, or they got nicked or whatever. But we call it the riff bank. We call it the riff bank. So we're quite good at. We've got into the habit, especially because we're stuck at home with nothing else to do. We've basically been firing ideas at each other, and it's literally just, it can be as rough as you want, and I love that side of it. That whole creativity is something that it's a real outlet. You can just sit there and you can mess around with something, and seeing how that evolves into a song or a track, it's really quite a proud moment, I think, when we see that kind of finished product.
We say there's no judgment, but there's definitely judgment.
Oh, there's always judgment. There's always judgment in every band. Always judgment in every band. Always. But you said, I was chatting to a mate of mine the other day. We were in bands together for years when we were at school, and he went off and did other things and stuff. But we were talking the other day, and he said he found. He said, I've got to bring something over to you after lockdown. I said, why? What have you found? He found the very first demo we ever recorded when we were like 13. I think I've been playing bass about 3 months, if that. It was that thing where we all got instruments for I've been saving up, but a lot of them got instruments for Christmas and stuff. we've been like badgering our parents. I want a bass, I want to set drums. Well, and I think 3 out of the 5 of us all got our instruments for Christmas, and then it was like we formed the band in the January, and then I think we recorded something. My mate had like an 8 multi-track, and we basically nicked it. I had no idea how it worked, so it's awful songs, awfully recorded, awfully written. And I said, why on earth have you still got that? And he goes, oh, it's memories. And I'm like, you can throw those ones away, dude. We recorded for months.
You know that I love things like that. Like I've got on this thing here, right? This little USB drive. I've got about probably the last 20 years of musical failures on my part, right? Mixes, recordings, riffs, things that at the time I thought, yeah, that's really cool, and then I play it back and it's like, yeah, that's really bad.
Oh dear God!
Yeah.
What was I thinking?
Why did I even bother recording that? Yeah, we've all got them.
Yep.
But go back to the single though. I'm looking forward to seeing the video, guys, because I've seen the teaser clip you put up on Facebook, and that looks brilliant. How's the video come about?
What do you want to? Who wants to answer this one?
I'll do it.
Go on.
Well, initially, so the company that has done our second video for Jekyll Hyde is a Featherstone Studios.
Okay. Yeah.
Featherside. Yes, I remember. Thank you. Featherside Studios. And Harry Baker is the director and the producer of it. Brilliant guy. He actually directed our Monster video. He is absolutely brilliant to work with. From the moment that we came on to the set, even before that, he already knew what he wanted from us. He's very organized. I mean, even for me, and I'm quite organized myself, so I think.
Really?
But this guy, yes. You shut up, you. But Harry was on point from the beginning, and we just all we had to do was give him the track, and he had come up with the story, with the plan, with ideas for it. He would then create a storyboard for us to confirm, and they weren't just rough sketches, because you'd think, okay, well, you'll give me some sort of idea. No, he went full blast about it. He would give us thorough detail of what each scene would look like, what he envisions, and he doesn't just envision it, he carries it out to a T, which I thought was it's remarkable.
Well, where it all kind of started was because obviously you've got to give a video. You never really know what to expect when you show up to shoot a music video. What we knew, we didn't want to do just another video of us playing live, in an empty warehouse or in the street. We wanted to have a bit of a story behind it, something that matched up with the song, and something that was a bit more cinematic, something a bit different.
No offense to other bands.
No, exactly. There's nothing wrong. Everyone has their own take on videos, but we wanted to do something a little bit different, because obviously there's a lot of people releasing music and videos and whatnot in lockdown, and part of it was to help us. We felt would help us stand out from the crowd a little bit by doing something a bit with a bit of a different take on it. So we took what we felt was important about the song, and we came up with this idea of kind of like a sliding doors kind of vibe. Yeah. So, centered on the type of person, with Matt talking about the song earlier, the type of person, you've kind of got this Jekyll and this Hyde character, and the choices they make are going to be fundamentally different because they're in different headspaces or places in life, and the paths they're going to take are going to be very different. Even, so it's connected. It tells a story, but you've essentially got, the actor that we've got. We hired an actor. We hired a fucking actor.
That's cool.
It's like the first time we've ever done that, and it was amazing. She was absolutely top notch to work with. But we hired an actor to be the main protagonist, to act this out as two completely different characters, but along the same kind of journey. And by the time that we planted a seed in Harry's mind, the director, and asked him to come up with something. We just said, look, we've got some ideas, but we don't know how to execute it. So what do you think? And he sent us back a storyboard, as Annabelle said, and then we turned up, not knowing what to expect, in a disused bank in Wimbledon, just before the new, you know, lockdown 3 kicked in, and we're in this really cool old building that
with, you know, dungeon.
Dungeon.
Yeah, it had a dungeon.
It had a freaking dungeon.
Yeah, and it all just kind of went from there, and the rest of the magic is really to Harry's credit. You know, he's managed to tell the story that I think we wanted to tell, and he has this brilliant way of taking these wacky off the wall ideas that we all come up with and turning it into something brilliant.
It's fantastic. So did he come up with the actual storyboard as well? Or do you guys come up with that, and then he's just taken the idea to another level, as it were?
I think, as Luke was saying, I think it was you actually, Luke, that came up with the initial idea of the film sliding doors. You know, because I haven't seen it myself, but Luke was telling me about it. It's if you turn left down the street, this is going to happen. If you turn right, something completely different is going to happen. Is that kind of vibe, and that was basically all that we told Harry. So what about if you did this and then go right, go? You know, and he came back with all this stuff.
Oh, that's amazing.
You know, we just wanted it, like I said, match the song, a little bit dark in places, you know, and it's turned out pretty good. We feel anyway.
Yeah,
everybody else well.
We had a hell of a laugh as well. It's always a laugh when we get together, but shooting that video, I just tears of laughter for most of it. You know, taking the piss out of each other and just having a good time doing it. I mean, we were really lucky to be able to do it.
That's amazing. Yeah. That's cool. No one should take themselves too seriously. That's just good that you can still wind each other up.
Oh yeah, we do.
I've gathered that. So, is there any release date set for the album yet, or are you playing it by ear with everything that's going on?
Well, it's going to be. We're aiming for June, early June. We have got a scheduled date yet, but that may change. But the month of June seems to be the magic one. Cool. So we will be making an official announcement, I reckon, within the next month when we get because we've got a few details to iron out. Sure. Plans to go with the album, because we want to do a proper live recording of playing the album from start to finish. So we're just trying to finalize that. Everything else is, you know, in place. So all the artwork is more or less being done. We've got people lining up, just waiting to hear the album for review. So everything is in play apart from getting this live recording finished. That's the last piece of the puzzle. So, you know, when we get that done, we will probably firmly say, right, this is the date the album's going to come out. Yeah. Because we can't play live, we need to do something else to support it.
Yeah, cool.
I think playing this 10-track album in its entirety is probably the best way to do it. And and we're even thinking about getting some pyrotechnics involved as well.
Oh, nice. Go all out.
Yeah, probably
I'll be going out and then never coming back with all the fire. I just know I'll step on that stage and I'll light like a match.
So don't do a James Hetfield.
No. You know what? Every time I think of pyro, that comes into my mind.
Yeah.
I don't really want that.
No.
And to be fair, right, we haven't got the best history of, you know, we've all fallen off the stage at some point. Lee, I think, has fallen literally straight back. We were doing an open air show. It was about a year ago now, before all this madness happened. And right at the end of the song, it literally final drum hit, and he's just disappeared off the back of the stage. No one really noticed, but he's literally gone backwards off his drum stool. I think, Matt, you've come off the stage a few times, and Annabelle spends most of the show in the crowd anyway.
No, I just walk off. I'll let you guys get on with it. Sometimes you don't even need me. You say you need me, but that's a lie.
Yeah, like us, you know, we did an interview recently. I can't remember which the company's name, unfortunately, but I told the story of, if you're going to fall off stage, just make it look like you meant to do it.
Oh, you make it count.
You know, because the last time I did it was a while ago, luckily, but I was, you know, mid guitar solo using my wah pedal, and I leant back too far, head in the air, and I fell flat on my ass. So, but I just pretended like I meant to do it, of course.
Yeah, we just got to pretend.
Mine's much worse. Mine you couldn't recover from. This is a couple of years back, and I tripped over one of the leads, and went flying over my my wedge, and I literally crowd dived for a good minute, and then I went head down first on the floor and had a concussion. But I got up and I got back up. I was meant to do that. It's fine, darling. Yeah, they were like considering to send me to the hospital. I was like, no, just get me another tequila shot. I'll be fine.
Yeah. That's alternative medicine anyway, tequila, so that's fine.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Oh, well, no problem.
And last time I tried to crowd surf, obviously I'm quite a large man. I'm about 16 stone and 6'1" and a bit. And everyone moved out the way. They were like, nah, sod that. And I just went straight on my face. I'm like, I'm not doing that again.
I saw that happen at Download one year, bloke similar size to me and you, mate. He went crowd surfing and you just saw the crowd go, nah. I was just aware because he was a little further away. You could see this bloke, like, and they carried him for some way, to be fair. And you could see him, like, you know, like this, loving it. And then you could just see, oh, there's an opening there. They're not going to catch him. And yeah, so like, he's just got so far. And then but you see some strange things at festivals, that's for sure.
Oh, yeah.
No, that's the best things, though.
I once got asked to sign someone's prosthetic leg. Yeah, I was at the bar at the beer tent. And this bloke got chatting to this guy. What did you do? And he goes, oh, there's loads of people like getting their t-shirts signed and stuff like that from just random people writing messages on their t-shirts and stuff. And this bloke goes, oh, mate, will you sign my leg? And I thought he was just people sign his leg for some whatever reason. I went, yeah, all right. And he sort of just disconnected it and handed it to me. And I was sort of like, you got a pen? I saw him bored between bands playing like basically catch with it. Between him and
gosh,
they were just like bored between like when you get that sort of big wedge of time between the sort of sub headliner and the headliner, and he just got dislocated next, and they were just sort of playing frisbee with his leg almost. But the problem was the circle got bigger and bigger as they were just passing it to people who weren't sort of part of their friendship group, and then the next thing I know was I just saw this leg got launched. And then this poor bugger, like leaning on about 5 minutes later, walking past me, because we'd sort of seen him as it had gone in, and then you could sort of see it getting bigger. And this poor dude's prosthetic leg get like launched across the ground. Like,
Christ,
how's he going to get that back? I'm like, I don't know. So me and my mate were stood there, and after a little while, he sort of come through the crowd, sort of leaning on his mate, going, "Did you see which way my leg went?" And I'm like, that way somewhere, but. We saw him. That was on the Friday night. We saw him on the Sunday, and he did manage to get it back. So at least that was something, I guess.
Yeah. Oh, it's madness. I think I've done. There was one year at Reading Festival where you see stuff like that all the time, and then there's people just in the crowd caught short and don't want to lose their good spot right up the front, so they just go in an empty bottle of Coke or whatever, and the next thing you know, that's getting launched across the crowd. Dudes in wheelchairs being lifted up. I mean, that's the best thing when you see everyone just pulling together and it's like, right, this guy can't see shit, so let's just lift him up by his wheelchair. You got geezers up there holding him up, and I love that stuff.
Yeah, I do.
And I miss the festivals, really. playing and being at them.
Yeah, of course.
Big time.
So I got. You say your bag got caught short, and probably shouldn't tell anyone this story because it doesn't put me in a very good light. But we're on the subject anywhere, and I'm not going to put this one on the radio. But same to Download 2005. So I was 17 on the front, watching Garbage, enjoying myself. Same scenario, been drinking all day, got caught short. And I thought, everyone else is having a piss along the front. I'm going to have a piss. I'll be all right. And although we were down the front, we were sort of to the right-hand side. So everybody's looking over that way to watch Shirley Manson and everyone anyway. So I figured, no one's even looking at me. I'm definitely going to be okay. Had a piss, did what I had to do. Put myself away, put my flyer back up, thinking that is the end of that. That's not even a story. It's fine. I'm okay. And then it gets to the end of the song, whatever song of Garbage we're playing at the time, and Shirley Manson gets on the mic and goes, "I know we're playing a festival crowd when I look along the front row and I just see this guy having a piss." And then like the cameras on like the big screens either side just pointed me out, and there's me like, "Hello."
Brilliant. Nice. That's a claim to fame.
Yeah. Yeah, that was an embarrassing moment as a 17-year-old, but never mind.
We all have to go through them sometimes.
We do indeed. We do. Everybody's got to do it at some point, I suppose.
Well, the best one, one of the ones in this lineup was when we had our first show at the Big Red, and this guy just randomly asked me to sign his stomach. I was like, all right, get your Sharpie. So I went on to town on that bad boy. I'll doodle the shit out of you.
I hope you fully coloured it in. I
don't remember that gig. It was the first gig. It's really bad form, right, when you join a band to get absolutely steaming drunk on the first show. But it was, I'm not going to lie, I was a dribbling, drunken mess. We had some friends that were coming to see us from America that were in town, and it was the Big Red. I mean, it's gone now. I absolutely love the Big Red. First gig with this band, same for Lee as well, and both of us got absolutely battered beyond belief, to the point where I couldn't. And actually, there's some videos on YouTube of some of the songs that we were playing from the previous EP, and it's the only way I can remember what the place was like, because everything was just a blur. I couldn't. You'll notice Lee is heads down, smashing his kit and just focusing on the job at hand. I'm stood there trying not to fall over, so I'm just stood still like a boring bassist at the back like this. Because, Matt's going for it, Annabelle's going for it. And I remember waking up the next day and going, have I actually got the job in this band, or have I been sacked already? Like, how did it go? And then luckily everyone was like, yeah, last night was awesome. And I watched the footage back and I was like, whew, got away with that one.
I'm gonna have to look for that footage, but I think there, dude. I'm gonna have to look for that.
Yeah, I kid you not. It literally was double barreled on the gin and tonics and the whiskies, and the Americans were going full force. They were coming first time they'd seen us play, and there was a couple of them there, and quite a good crowd actually. And it all got a bit rowdy, and then all of a sudden it was like, oh crap, I've actually got to play a show, and I'm really drunk. What am I going to do? And before you know it,
carry on drinking.
Just drink through it.
When in doubt, have another gin and tonic.
It's sorted. Yeah, it's half tonic anyway. You'd be all right.
Exactly.
Yeah. Matt likes a cup of tea in the middle of his drinking sessions.
I do.
I've been known to do that.
I do, mate.
I've been known to do that.
After like 3 whiskeys, yep, I need a cup of tea. Yep.
Yeah, I just need a breather, mate. And,
yeah.
I'm not a booze hound like you and Lee. I can't keep up with these two. That I'm in a league of my own, as in a lot lower. Whenever we go out, so just leave me to it, boys. You crack on.
I have to leave the league completely. I was so good at it. I had to retire early.
You had to retain your championship belt.
Well, to be fair, I got my championship belt on very many occasions where I pretty much outdrank people as big as mustard. So they were under the table. I'm still standing like, come on, it's not the end. But then that's what you expect from a Russian. And then
you've got an unfair advantage.
I'm not doing that anymore.
Now there's far too much blood in your alcohol system, Chanks. That's what it is.
That's it. I'm permanently drunk for the rest of my life, and that's that. So I kind of made my peace with that. I just sort of get on with it and, make funny videos of other people getting absolutely wasted. If you cross me, I have things on you.
That sounds like a threat and a promise.
Of course.
It is. It is.
You take it whichever way you want, honey.
So how did the recording process of the album work then? Did you guys manage to record in a room all together, or because of COVID, was that not an option?
Oh dear God.
No, I mean, right, I'll be straight with you on that. We'll leave it. I'm not a big fan of the whole live recording, everybody in a room doing it.
That's fair enough.
I've done it. I've done it before with previous recordings, and it's never quite as good as you want it to be, because there's always somebody that screws up, and you have to go back, do it again. You end up spending like a day on one song, and all this kind of shit. And you can't. You get the energy, of course you do, because actually on the song we were just talking about, the 10-minute long one, the second half of that song was recorded live. It wasn't played to a click. So I was in the room with the drummer Lee, and I was playing into his headphones. And he was playing to me. So the tempo, you can hear it fluctuates a little bit in fast bits, and then we break it down with the slow bits. So I think it needed that little bit of extra energy because, we mostly play to a click if we can get away with it. So I will do like a rough or a demo of all the guitar parts to a click as best as I can. Then the drums will get done to that. And then I'll go back and redo the guitars probably, to match some of the cool drum parts that Lee's done or whatever. Then it's usually the bass or the vocals, whichever we have time to do first. The vocals usually just get done to the guitar and the drums and the bass, it depends. But it's always guitar first, then drums, then guitar again is the start of it.
Yeah, and to be fair, the songs were written when we were together in the studio. We'd get together once or twice a week, and we would, we'd if we're getting ready for a gig and it's been, a week or 2 or 3, or in this case, a year since our last show, then, we've got to make, you have the rehearsals that are song, getting your tightness, knocking the rust off and getting ready for the live show. And then you have when we're in a run of gigs, as we started to pick up, and we had stuff booked. That's when we were writing, because we were doing enough gigs. We didn't actually need to rehearse the set and make sure we had the chemistry and the the mechanics of being in a band and having 4 musicians in a room. That was there. We didn't need to work at that. And it meant that we could just write stuff. So we would use the rehearsal time and the studio time to craft all the songs. We would have them probably 90% there. And then I would essentially, go into the studio, drums would go in, Matt would have the frames of the guitars, and then I would get a load of stems back. And it would be like, right, record your bass, get it sounding how you want it on the record. And then, once that's done, then it's reamping time. So we layer the song up as we go, but it allows us to do it ourselves. Matt's a trained producer and can record at home. I'm not a trained producer by any means, but I can record at home. So it means that we can get most of the songs done to a point where it's only when we get to the final kind of, putting the polish on it, we've got to reamp the guitars. We want to tweak the sound. We want to get it absolutely razor sharp. And the vocal pieces and the harmonies and all of those pieces, it's all those finishing touches. And then when that's done, it gets packaged up and our producer essentially masters it.
So,
yeah.
Matt, did you self-produce this album then, or did you have an external producer as well?
Well, actually, like I said, we ironed out all the bugs that a producer would do as you go before we started recording. It's like, well, is this bit catchy enough? Does that structure work? That all the stuff basically a producer does. We did ourselves. Yeah. It's one of those things. I think we've all been doing it long enough to know. So actually, that just doesn't quite sit right. Why is it? Why is it not right? And then we just hashed it out. And I think we spent more time trying to get the vocal melodies catchy in this one, because that was the most time Annabelle and I spent hashing all those melodies out. Because some of the time we had an idea. Trying not to kill each other. Yeah. that is.
I'm not even joking, and it's not Matt's fault. I just,
I know it's not my fault.
I'm trying to give you a compliment here. Sit down and shush.
Fuck off with your compliment.
Do you want it or not? In all honesty, I mean, there's that essence of recording where it gets to you, because you start recording. Obviously, you have an idea, and a lot of the time it just doesn't go right. And one of the things we found is the key of D is just not. It wasn't at the time the best of keys for me to sing, so I struggled a lot with it. But obviously, the song's written. They're like, we're not re-recording this in a different key. Get over yourself. So I said, all right, fine, I'll get over it. And there were a lot of tears and a lot of breakdowns, and to the point where I said, why am I even doing this? That's it. Just get another person in, and they're gonna do a better job than me. I literally had those moments to the point where Matt was like, come on now, this is ridiculous. Like, you wouldn't last this long in a band if you weren't doing something right.
Exactly.
So you know, there was a lot of testing to it, but the support that I got from the boys was very, it was very helpful, and you could feel that through the recording as well. You could feel that it is like its own family, really. Because even when I was struggling with it, and I was actually struggling with a lot of mental health and other things that I was getting over and stuff, for anxiety and depression, it was testing times, and all three boys were very, very supportive, and they kind of got me through the milestones that were the hardest to get through, but the ends did justify the means, and you'll see the end product to, you know, speak for itself.
I think what we were trying to, the trick is to, because vocals is it's a mindset instrument, right? Some days you've got it, some days you're a little bit off your game. It's a really difficult thing. When you marry that up with trying to capture the energy of, you know, doing a live show, right? When we play it live, it's never a problem because you've got the energy and you've got the crowd. And exactly, yeah, you've got that feedback. But when you're in a room, especially if you're in a vocal booth and it's you and a mic and some headphones, how do you G yourself up for that? I mean, it's a really difficult thing to do. So it's been one of those things where it's trial and error. You can't
smoke some crack or something to cheer yourself up. I don't know.
That's the hardest thing, right?
Do, but that wasn't my option at the time. It was like, Annabelle, just try have some tea, calm down. No.
Yeah. I'll tell you what, right? We don't do compliments that often in this band. The vocal tracks that we've actually now got down on all the record, on all the album, are massive, and they are immense, and there are some absolutely stonking performances from this lady on them.
Oh,
and
thank you,
it's because, you know, we are not a kind of, oh yeah, that's it, it's done, recorded, happy days band. We're fussy, we argue, we're picky about the music, and we fight. It's a healthy debate, right? We fight over things because there's passion behind it, and that's where you get the Circus sound from, right? It's a tremendous amount of fun being in this band, and it's because we don't compromise on the music, right? We do what we collectively feel is best. That's where you get that big, ballsy, you know, riff-tastic with a massive vocal performance on it. And that's always going to be hard to record, right?
Oh, of course.
It's we have to do it. If we were releasing music we didn't have our hearts and souls in, then what's the point?
We didn't do a good enough job.
I think that's the thing, though, isn't it? Like, I've sort of interviewed, got to speak a few bands just out and about and just generally chatting to people. But I think any band worth their salt are the ones who say, yeah, we don't give each other an easy ride. And if you just go, yeah, that'll do, it's never going to be best. You know, it's never going to be what you want it to be. I remember a huge Aerosmith fan, and I remember watching the documentary once, and they were like, by the end of the album, because Steven Tyler's the one sitting around watching the guys do their thing while he does his vocal take separately, and saying, by the end of the album, we all hate Steven. Because he's the one with his, because he's not concentrating on what he's playing, his mind's sort of free to wander and go, no, you need to tighten up this, or Joey, you need to do this different drum fill, or whatever it is. And they're like, by the end of it, we hate him. But when we listen it back, we love him again because we realise he was right.
I think that's what happens with Matt.
I think I'm that person in this band.
No, but the thing is, I don't know. I never actually hated you. Like, I never thought, oh my God, this guy could go and die. No, I legit, the thing is, everything that you said, everything that he would say to me when, because Matt would be recording my vocals, he would literally come over to my house, would set it up, and it's just us two in the room. And it got to the point, it could get to the point, like one of the days it was so hot, and I mean so hot, I was melting. I was literally melting. I felt like there was not enough air in the room, in the house.
Yeah, I think we only got one verse done that day.
Oh God. I was literally, I was like, I swear to God, I'm gonna quit at some point. But behind all of that, I saw the reasoning why he pushed me, because even though, you know, in the heat of a moment, we argued or had a heated conversation, I saw the reasons why he was saying things to me that he was, because it was well justified, because he basically said, just think about this. If you're going to listen back to it and it's not your 100%, you're not going to push yourself, you're going to hate yourself. So he was literally saving myself from myself at that point. Yeah. So, you know, every single time he was right. I mean, you know, by the end of it, I actually got used to it, and I said, okay, I'll just listen to you.
Yeah, it's like when
I said a word, I'll just listen.
There's one track that stands out in my mind that most of the bass parts, you know, you kind of get ideas down. I'd record something, I'd send it back in. Matt would look at it and go, yeah, it's getting there, but you need to look at this, or you need to... And I'd literally get a punch list back, right? I kid you not. And I like this. I love this about this band, but like, because you need other ideas and other ears on things.
Oh, yeah,
like you get tired when you're recording, and it's a very humbling experience. Especially, it's one thing to sit there and record it and go, oh no, I fucked that bit up, I got to do that again. And you do multiple takes, and you kind of get it where you want it. But then when you get to a point where you're like, right, I'm tired, I'm done, I've been at this all day, it's midnight, and you know, I need to sleep. And you send it off and you think, right, that's going to be great. And then you hear it back in the morning, and along with a punch list of that bit, no, that's a bit shit, do something different. That fill, yeah, it's slightly off. Oh, there's a wrong note there. Oh, no, you've done that wrong. And it's like, you sit there and you go, oh, for fuck's sake. and then you put the headphones back on with fresh ears and you go, let's see what he's moaning about now. And you press play and you go, he's fucking right. Fuck. Delete it, start again.
Oh, we've all had those experiences, that's for sure. But like you say, it's like having those ears and not just going, yeah, mate, that, because, you know, you guys know each other well enough to know what to expect from each other, and when, you know, the reasons that you're in the band with each other, and why you can say those things. And you guys are the only things that people that can say those things to each other, you know what I mean? You wouldn't accept anyone else just coming in and go, oh no, that doesn't sound right. We know what's right in our band. So
yeah, I think it's taken a little bit of time to get this comfortable with, you know, taking the criticism off each other.
Yeah, you
know, it's just one of the things, you just can't do it straight off the bat. It's got to be built up.
Oh yeah, of course.
And as long as the person who's giving the criticism is not just being a dick about it, and it's actually valid, you know, because at the end of the day, it's about the song. It's not about an ego. I've been in bands where before I've been guilty of this. No, I want my solo longer. I want this. I want that. Of course, everybody's done that, but I've been, you know, doing it long enough to know it's about the song. It's like, actually, yeah, this could do with a ripping guitar solo, or actually, maybe not. I'll dial it back a little bit. It's, you know, the level of what do we say?
Balanced.
That's the balance we've got between each other now. It works. But there's obviously a fine line. You've got to do it in the right way. You know, if I, like Mustard said, some of the stuff he sent me was absolute, you know, it was gem. It's like, oh, that was 90% brilliant. Keep all this, but that one little bit there is, you know, just tweak it. Yeah. You know, and it's all good when, you know, when you hear things like that. Because when I do my guitar, I'm as hard on myself as these guys when it comes to recording, when I'm doing my shit. Because like I said, if I listen back to that, I go, actually, I can play better than that. Or it's not quite right, I'm going to do it again. And, you know, I'm my own worst critic. Yeah. But unfortunately,
God, I wouldn't want to be you at this point.
No, but, you know, unfortunately for these lot, I'm their worst critic as well. But I think it's, but we're all, you know, aiming for the same thing.
Yeah, it's one goal for all of us.
Yeah.
The one goal that we want the song to be the best that it is. And in this album, I can easily say that every single song that you'll hear, it has been pushed and dialed up to 11. on each track because we because at the end of the day there was no half-ass in it, and I've got told so many times, God forbid for me to do that, because that's the first thing you'll hear. Like, vocals are there, you can't hide. You know, so, and it was a good lesson. It was a good lesson overall, because over the time that we recorded the album, or the rest of the tracks after the first couple of releases, I really realized my potential was actually still within its box, within the comfort zone, and it pushed it. I pushed myself to a new level. Well, with help of Matt and Mustard and Lee, really just kicking me up my butt, going, "Come on now, you can do this better. Like, we heard you do better. This is shit."
Yeah, and you know what? You'll hear it if you look back on. I'll give you an example, Lee. If you want to go check out, there's a live performance of us playing a song called Prince of California, which is on the album. And it was one that we played it live. It came out quite well for a camera phone bit of footage, and we put it on our YouTube. And go check that out. And then when you get the album in your hands. Listen to the album version. You'll hear the difference. There's a few tweaks that we made just to push it that little bit further. You'll be able to tell the difference. You know, I mean, the song was already there. It was largely written, but when we got in to actually record it, it was like, actually, this is 95% there. Let's push hard for that 5%.
Extra 5% make the difference.
Yeah.
Yep.
That's cool then. You guys, like you say, you've not been sitting on your backsides throughout the last year that doesn't exist.
No.
But you've done quite well for a year that doesn't exist. But along with the album stuff, you've
we were lucky.
Signed to 4 Jams. You guys been signed 4 Jams management, haven't you? That must have been cool.
Oh, yeah. You want to take this one, Luke? Because you set that one up for us.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, I mean, it's really, really exciting. We were, because to be honest, the biggest thing that we've focused entirely on the music for so long, and I think we always will. In all honesty, we think that there was we felt anyway, there was a gap in the market for what we're doing, right? And I describe this band as, you know, rightly or wrongly, and don't shoot me, Matt, but if you were to take Guns N' Roses and they then had a baby with the Chili Peppers, right, and then you took an awesome female vocalist and stuck them at the front of the band, you know, we're basically the bastard stepchild of Guns N' Roses and the Chili Peppers, that grew up with daddy issues. So it's kind of that eclectic mix of all these different things: big, massive, chunky guitars, vocals, smashing drums, and a funky groove that kind of sits, that funky undertone that rides, carries the band through, right? And we wanted to make sure that came through in the music. We never purposefully tried. It was just by virtue of the fact that I like playing funk and Motown and soul and reggae and all that sort of stuff. And Matt happens to be a pretty decent guitar player, right? So those kind of things all came out in the wash. And we realized that actually we're not going to get people coming to our shows if we're just putting music out that no one's going to listen to, because they're not going to know who we are. We haven't got much of a fan base, and we're still growing. We're still we're still the new kid on the block, right? Yeah. So we knew we needed some help, and I think we all agreed we had the music side under control. The bit that we needed was a platform for someone to help us with the PR, the marketing, someone that's going to help us get from playing the little kind of, pubs and bars and the smaller venues that we've been doing, and actually start getting out into some bigger venues. I think we spoke actually, Lee, about your festival, about Just Push Play. And that was me basically trying to find a way to piggyback on other bands to get our music heard and be able to kind of go, look, this is what we're made of, this is who we are, this is what we do, and hopefully that will resonate and people will like it. And when we met John at Forge, he gave us a bit of a pitch and was just kind of going, do you know, I stumbled across you guys. I've seen you. I think we were at a Crazy Cowboy festival. That's
where I first saw you guys. That's where I first
saw
Cowboys.
we were at one of Alec's things, and we were finding ourselves, we were always kind of like the first on the bill. We've got to earn the right to work our way up the chain, as you do. And it was like, how do we get the band to the next level? And we started talking to John, and he's a really genuine guy.
He's a Scotsman.
There's a lot of folk, we tend to be pessimistic bastards at the best of time, right? It's like you tend to be a little bit cautious of people, especially in this industry. You know what I mean? There's a lot of shit that you got to be careful to navigate.
Shady shit.
But thankfully, John is not one of those people. He's an absolute...
I know John quite well. And he's a solid guy, and he's one of these guys, guy I can get on with. Says what he means and doesn't pull any punches, and if he's by his side, that's the sort of guy you want.
Exactly. And he earned our trust really early on. We were talking for a couple of weeks. We had a few kind of interviews, and it's the right fit. There's a lot that Forge can bring to the table for us, and there's a lot we can do for Forge. So it's a perfect partnership for us, and really, I think the goal for this band is to get it to the next level, to start really homing in on a fan base. The worst thing for us, with hopefully you can tell the passion we put into what we do.
Definitely.
The worst thing for us is to release something that people just go, oh yeah, well, it just gets lost in the noise and people don't listen to it.
Yeah.
So the only way we're going to be heard is if we bring some help in to help us kind of push it forward. And that's why we've signed with 4Jump, and it's super exciting.
Yeah, I bet. I mean, like I said, the first time I saw you guys was at Crazy Cowboy, and like you say, were you first on or was it second on?
First.
First. Yeah, it was you there, Mike Ross, wasn't it? Yeah.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah. So, sorry, I've been out drinking with Alec the night before.
Enough said.
We got down early, and then after I went out with Alec and Steph for a few drinks, and I think I can't even remember. I don't even remember getting back to the hotel.
Oh God.
And then we sort of woke up, and it was like, right, shower, throw brekkie down the neck, and run to the venue, because we're going to miss bands if we're not careful. But you guys should certainly woke me up, and as in my delicate state that I was in, you brought me back to life. And I've been in bars when I'm watching the opening act, and you're thinking, I'm hungover. I'm just going to go sit down. I don't know who these guys are. No disrespect to them, but I'm going to go sit in the corner, and I'm going to go drink a lot of water and try and come back to life. But no. You guys have always had, well, I've only seen you a couple of times, but every time I've seen you guys, you've always had that energy live. I think anybody who sees you live would be hard pressed to argue with me on that one. But like you say, sometimes you just need someone to come in from a business side of things and just try and look after that side of it while you guys deal with what you want to deal with, which is obviously writing the music and performing and everything that goes along with that.
It's a great symbiotic relationship with 4Jump, because we feel like we can trust them, and they seem very genuine with what John has in place, from what I understood when we had a couple of chats with him before. And it felt like, unlike a lot of other management companies that you can come across, and there's various amount of them out there, these guys are genuinely in the business to push the bands such as ourselves further, because they believe in our product, they believe in the music that we write, that we record, and they believe that we deserve the chance to share this with more people, with the world, if it gets to that, really.
And this is the thing, they have a really good way. We still maintain the full creative control, and it's our IP. There's none of these you give away the rights, and I think, Matt, you can talk about another label that we were signed to before, where I think they were trying to change the sound and the direction of the band, and it's like, well, no, that's not the point of this. No. We know what we're doing musically.
You know what you are and what you stand for, and then what you're creating.
Yeah, exactly. And the bit that I think gives us all a boost, and the bit that we miss the most in current times anyway, is performing. There's nothing like a live show, and I think, you know, it's fair to say, keep me honest guys, it's fair to say that when we come out of the gates and we've got a run of gigs off the back of this lockdown, people ain't going to know what's hitting. It's going to be big. No one's going to be sitting down, and you know,
God,
people are going to be walking away. It's going to be like, Christ, what just happened? You know,
there's going to be glitter everywhere.
Like, wow. I've just been violated. That's an amazing show.
That's a good name for the tour, mate. Violation tour. Anyway.
Violation tour. Like it.
Yeah, definitely. But yeah, like, it's a really exciting time for us, Lee, and you know, we've still got a lot of work to do. We are going to get this album out, and we hope people like it.
I hope you like it.
Yeah, absolutely.
So far.
Yeah. And we want to, you know, we want to get some good gigs under our belt, right? That's the thing for us. We're not gonna get anywhere with this band if we just record stuff at home and then just put it out there. It's never going to get heard. We want to back anything that we release up with a tour or, you know, a run of gigs and some shows, and have a good time. You know, we feed off the crowd, and, you know, not having that feedback mechanism, you kind of get boxed in, right? So we just want to go out, play our music loud, the only way we know how, and
actually see people. That would be nice. Actually see people.
Yeah.
I miss the good old days where you get to a venue and, you know, you get some pissy beer, shit ton of drunks, but then the atmosphere is so amazing. You just forget where you are and you just get lost in a moment. I think that's the thing I miss the most. Getting lost in a moment on the stage as soon as the first song hits, and you're just in another world, and I miss that feeling so much. And I think I speak for everyone in this band that all of us miss the feeling of actually stepping on that stage and feeling like your own little rock star to yourself. You know, you owe it to your inner child, you know, with everything that you grew up listening to. You think, God, I rock somebody's world. Like, I love that feeling. You know, I had when we did a gig in Antelope in Wickham. It was a festival in 2019. There was this kid. She was 9, maybe 10, something along those lines, and her mum, and they got right to the front, and they were watching us, and she was so mesmerized by our band. Right at the end of it, I came down from the stage, and they came up to talk to me, and she literally cried. She cried when I spoke to her, and I was just like, I almost start crying. Bear in mind, I have like makeup and like tribal, like I have loads of things on my face, glitter. So I'm like, oh, thanks. Literally, like both of us pretty much crying. Like, that's the most amazing feeling for me, because I thought, God, I hope I inspired this kid to, you know, follow her dreams, because that is the most incredible feeling that you can get in this job, really. To know that you've inspired someone to, you know, follow something amazing that they want to do.
Yeah, definitely.
And there's a lot of I remember doing Love Rocks, I think it was.
Oh yeah.
And Love Rocks was, for me, was really great fun to play. And we were the opening act on the first day of Love Rocks, and, you know, it was, in fact, no, sorry, we were the second act. Ravenbreed were on first, and then we came up, and Ravenbreed had an absolutely stonking set. I remember being side of stage watching their set, and, you know, they were in the crowd. They real high energy, you know, wake everybody up, get your beer and get to the front, and you know, rock your socks off. And they absolutely smashed it. Brilliant. And we're kind of going, how do we follow that? Oh yeah, let's just go for it. And you know what, we Annabelle's in the crowd, she's all over the stage. One minute she's kind of, you know, at my back, and then she's over there with Matt, and then it's like watching
on Lee's drums, like, yes.
So you got Annabelle bouncing around the stage, and I remember going over to Matt, and it was in the middle of a bit where we're kind of playing a unison part together. And I went over to Matt. There's like a brief break in the music, and Matt was just like, smack, and he's just like smacked a note on my bass, and he's just like boom, and then he's just like and then carried on playing. And other times I go over and he's just like, what do you want? Fuck off. And then he breaks out his solo.
I remember that because somebody caught a photo of you two standing together, and then I think Matt went into his solo, and then you see his sunglasses kind of flick midst photo.
Yeah, actually,
It's the most incredible photo that you can catch because
it looks
so
quite
funny.
ridiculous now.
Oh,
I know the picture you're on.
Brilliant picture. Yeah, because I think I'm leaning back and laughing, just about to kind of spin around.
I
and
think
go to
that's
the other
after
side of the
he sang
stage.
your bass as well. I think
Yeah,
somebody
it is,
caught that
it
photo
is.
perfectly.
Hang on.
So Matt does this thing, right? When he busts out a solo and he really gets into it, there's a head and hair flick where it's like that. He does these little hops as well, right? When he's kind of like really in his solo and he's like flying around the fretboard. He does these little hops and these little skips, and the hair goes back. He had his shades on. And
I don't skip, thank you very much.
Yes, you do. Yes, you do.
I'll admit to the other two bits, but I do not fucking skip.
I swear to God, I'm having a little skip. It was a skip of joy.
Yeah, and I watch for it. If next time you see us live, his head goes back and his sunglasses just flew up his face. And whoever took the picture, the glasses are like midway through. It's a great moment. It's a perfect picture. But it shows like that make that's why we do it, right? And you can look out over a crowd, and a lot of the time you don't necessarily see the crowd because you're kind of in the zone, you're focusing, you're concentrating, and sometimes you can kind of be put off if you see. You know, if you're properly focusing on the crowd, it can be off-putting sometimes, or make you more nervous, right? And a lot of the time you don't see the crowd, but then you catch, like what Annabelle just said about the little girl and her mum. There's been a few absolutely stonking gigs where we look out and you just catch something happening. You can see people getting into it. What I'd love for this band is to get to a point where we've got a crowd of people that are singing the songs with us. That is a really special thing, and I mean it's a high bar to get to that. You know, people need to know who we are for a start, but that's the
dream.
It's all part of the journey, don't it? It's all part of the journey.
Exactly.
So speaking of the journey, all being well, what are the plans for the rest of the year?
Hopefully to do some gigs.
Yeah.
Yeah, we've got because last year we had quite a few lined up. Some of them have been outright cancelled, some obviously postponed. So there are a few in the pipeline that I think are waiting to be rescheduled. But again, as soon as we can get out and play, mate, we're going to be there.
Yep.
So, I mean, realistically, I can't see anything happening until at least August, realistically, if we're lucky. But I reckon we'll have some by the end, the autumn. Hopefully that's when things will start picking up. And as soon as we can, we're out there. That album is getting smashed in people's faces.
Well, it should be.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Getting raped by the sound, basically.
Yeah. So
steady on, love, steady on.
Yeah. We just gotta. The short term for us is to get the album out.
Yeah.
The immediate thing that's going to happen is people are going to get hit in the face with the new single. Jekyll or Hyde. Hopefully that will be the last thing we release before the whole album drops.
Sure.
The idea was that we get three singles out that are, really reintroducing the world to Circus 66. We had the Showtime EP. There's a different lineup, different kind of vibe, different energy in there. And now this is the reinvention of Circus 66. Bang! You've got 1,000 Miles from Home, Monster, Jekyll or Hyde. Those are your tasters for what's to come on the album, and then you've got 10 songs that hopefully everybody likes, and we want to tour the hell out of it. We really do. It's just a case of going with the flow for the time being. And in the meantime, we're going to be doing stuff like this, as many interviews, anything you guys want to do, in lieu of getting out there, we're going to keep on making music.
Sounds good, man. Well, obviously, we're going to play Jekyll or Hyde at the beginning of the interview. What song do you want to play to get them played at the end of the interview? Sandwich it.
Monster!
That was a quick decision there, Chen.
Yeah, just sandwich those two things.
Yeah, sounds good. All right, guys, it's been an absolute pleasure. Thanks for talking to us.
Yeah, thanks for
so
that, Lee.
much for your time.
Cheers, guys.
Cheers, Lee.
All right, see you soon.